Your buddies are total losers, she told me straight to my face. So, I just shrugged and said, all right then, don't bother coming to my birthday. Honestly, it didn't even faze me. Right after that, I reached out to her old roommate, who'd been hitting me up lately. Let me tell you, my girlfriend's whole attitude did a complete 180 the second those Instagram stories started dropping. Look, I'm a 27-year-old guy, and my girlfriend, Lauren, is 26. We've been together for 2 years and sharing an apartment for the last 8 months. If I'm being completely candid, her mask has been slipping for a while now. It kicked off with these little passive-aggressive jabs. She'd roll her eyes and call my buddies immature just because we still get together every single Thursday for board game night. Every time I mentioned hanging out with them over the weekend, I'd get a heavy sigh. Her favorite phrase became, when are you actually going to grow up? My main circle consists of Ryan, my best pal since middle school who works in IT, Lucas, a high school science teacher I met back in college, Nate, my childhood neighbor who runs his own cafe, and Amir, my old roommate who works as a freelance illustrator. They aren't exactly doing bad for themselves, but in Lauren's eyes, if you aren't pulling in corporate money in finance or law like her coworkers, you're basically a nobody. 3 weeks back, I started putting together some low-key plans for my 28th birthday. Nothing crazy, just grabbing some food at Nate's cafe and then heading back to our place for some drinks and games with maybe 15 people max. When I pitched the idea to Lauren, she just sneered at me. Are you serious? Board games for your 28th? She asked. I told her, yeah, why not? That's what I like to do. She scoffed. It's just so childish. What are you, 12? I looked her in the eye and said, Lauren, it's my birthday. I want to celebrate it doing what I enjoy with the people I care about. She just rolled her eyes at me. Your friends are just a bunch of grown men refusing to accept adulthood, she said. She pointed out that Ryan still lives with roommates and Lucas is driving a 2009 Toyota. To her, they were absolute zeros, and she told me that spending my birthday playing Monopoly was just pathetic. That stung, but what she said next really took the cake. I'm skipping it, she announced. She claimed she had some work function that night anyway, but made sure to add that even if she were free, she wouldn't waste her evening watching grown men roll dice. You're telling me you have a work event on my birthday, and you're just now bringing it up? I asked. She snapped back, saying it was networking. Something she claimed I'd understand if I actually had real ambitions instead of killing time with my loser friends. I just stood there, staring at her. For 2 years, this girl had been subtly tearing down my friendships, making snarky comments, and trying to reshape me into her perfect version of a boyfriend. No worries, I replied, keeping my cool. Have a great time networking. She looked pretty shocked that I didn't start a fight over it, but she just shrugged it off and moved on. But here's the twist. About a month ago, her ex-roommate, Ellie, started texting me out of the blue. At first, it was totally innocent, just asking how the apartment was and checking if Lauren was still leaving dirty dishes piled up for days. As it turned out, Lauren was an absolute nightmare to live with. What do you think about this? Would you have invited the ex-roommate in this situation? Or was that crossing a line? Ellie had endless stories about her. And over those next few weeks, as Lauren kept showing her true colors, Ellie and I kept chatting more and more. We kept things completely platonic, but the vibe was definitely friendly, maybe even a little flirty. So, the minute Lauren announced she was ditching my birthday, I made an executive decision. I shot Ellie a text saying, hey, doing a birthday dinner this Saturday. Lauren's skipping out for a work thing, so do you want to come? Fair warning, we're all apparently losers who play board games. She hit me back immediately, typing, LMAO, is she still on that? I am 100% in. Can't wait to hang out with these legendary losers. Finally, Saturday rolled around. Lauren headed out the door around 5 p.m. in her business clothes, giving me this quick, dismissive kiss like she was doing me a massive favor. Don't stay up past your bedtime with your little games, she mocked. Honestly, dinner at Nate's cafe couldn't have been better. He set up a private section for us and whipped up all my favorite meals. My whole crew was there, along with a few other friends and Ellie. She fit right into the group instantly, cracking up at Lucas's terrible jokes, talking about art with Amir, and picking up on our inside jokes like she'd been running with us for years. She was just wearing a casual sundress, nothing over the top, but she just looked genuinely happy to be there. It was the exact opposite of how Lauren had been acting for months. Ryan eventually pulled me to the side. "Hey man, isn't that Lauren's old roommate?" he asked. "Yep," I told him. "And Lauren's a no-show?" I smiled and said, "Yep, work thing." He just smirked and went, "Right, a work thing." After dinner, we all crashed back at my place for drinks and games. Ellie absolutely wiped the floor with us in code names, teamed up with me for Wavelength, and her sketches during telestrations had everyone practically crying tears of laughter. Around 11 p.m., people started uploading stuff to their Instagram stories. Just standard party clips of the cake Nate baked, a few group shots, and videos of us laughing at terrible Pictionary drawings. Ellie ended up posting a selfie of her, Nate, and me holding up our drinks with the caption, "The birthday boy knows how to throw a real party." Right on cue, my phone started blowing up. It was Lauren texting, "Who the hell is that girl? Why is she inside our apartment? Is that Ellie? Call me right this second." I completely ignored the notifications. We kept the party going until 2 a.m. As everyone was heading out, Ellie gave me a big hug. "This is the most fun I've had in a really long time," she said. I teased her back, saying, "Well, you know, my friends are just a bunch of nobodies." She rolled her eyes and said, "Lauren has absolutely no idea what she's missing. Happy birthday." She planted a quick kiss on my cheek and took off. I was right in the middle of cleaning up the living room when Lauren burst through the front door at 2:30 a.m., looking completely disheveled with her makeup smeared and smelling like alcohol. "What the hell was Ellie doing in this house?" she demanded. I looked at her and said, "I invited her to my birthday. You know, the event you couldn't make time for?" She snapped back, "You invited my toxic ex-roommate just to petty spite me?" I told her, "No, I invited a friend who actually wanted to be there to celebrate with me. By the way, how was your networking event?" She stumbled over her words. "That's completely beside the point. You did this deliberately." I cut her off. "Deliberately did what? Threw myself a birthday party? Made sure I had company since my own girlfriend thought I was too pathetic to hang out with? You think this is revenge?" "No, Lauren. I'm just out here living my life with my nobody friends, who, for the record, actually showed up for me. Unlike you." She broke down crying right then and there. It was pure, angry tears. "This is all over that one stupid comment, isn't it? I was just being realistic. Your friends aren't going anywhere in life." "Then why do you even care if another nobody hangs out with us?" I asked. She slammed her purse against the wall, stomped down the hallway into the bedroom, and clicked the lock shut. "Fine by me. The couch it is." The following morning, Lauren walked out of the bedroom looking rough, immediately trying to guilt-trip me. "I can't believe you went out of your way to humiliate me like that," she started. I looked at her, confused. "Humiliated you? Lauren, you weren't even in the building." "Everyone saw those Instagram stories," she cried. "My coworkers, my friends, literally everyone. They all watched you partying it up with Ellie." I shrugged and said, "So what? We're friends." "Friends?" she snapped. "She absolutely hated my guts when we lived together." I muttered under my breath, "Gee, I wonder why." She glared at me. "What was that?" I told her, "Nothing. Look, you made it crystal clear what you think of my friends and my hobbies. You ditched my birthday so I can invite whoever I want to my own house." Suddenly, she completely flipped her approach. "Babe, look, I'm really sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it. I was just incredibly stressed out over work." And I cut her right off. "Lauren, you've been singing that same song for months now. This wasn't a one-time thing." She tried to justify it, saying, "I'm just trying to push you to grow. Those guys are holding you back." I asked her, "Holding me back from what? Being miserable at corporate mixers? Pretending to give a crap about your coworkers' stock options?" She just glared at me. "Holding you back from having an actual future. But whatever. Go ahead and invite my backstabbing ex-roommate. See if I care." She grabbed her yoga mat and slammed the door on her way out. 20 minutes later, my phone started vibrating like crazy. She had posted on her Instagram story. It was a picture of her at brunch surrounded by her corporate friends. Totally staged, heavily filtered, with forced smiles. The caption read, "Surround yourself with people who elevate you, not those who pull you down. Some of us actually have standards. #petty. I just thought, whatever. Then a text came in from Ellie. LMAO. Did you see her story? She is absolutely losing it. I wrote back, oh, she's furious. Ellie replied, want to hear something hilarious? My friend Tara was actually at that work function last night. She said Lauren showed up for maybe 20 minutes, got completely wasted, spent the whole time glued to Instagram, and ended up leaving with some finance guy named Connor. I stared at my screen in disbelief. She left with another guy? According to Tara, the two of them were acting incredibly cozy. Right then, everything clicked into place. The emotional distance, the constant criticism, the absolute disdain for my friends. It was all calculated. She was intentionally setting the stage to walk away and paint me as the bad guy. That way, when she finally dumped me for some corporate guy, she could play the victim who simply upgraded from her loser boyfriend. I texted Ellie back, thanks for filling me in. She asked, are you doing all right? Honestly, yeah, I was. Everything finally made total sense. That evening, Lauren walked through the door late, acting like we hadn't been at each other's throats all morning. But I happened to notice she had already shifted her Facebook relationship status to, it's complicated. So, I went ahead and updated mine to single. Lauren completely lost her mind the moment she saw the status update. What the hell is the meaning of this? She screamed, shoving her phone right in front of my face. I looked at it and said, it's just the truth. We aren't together anymore. We never broke up, she yelled. I told her, we broke up the exact moment you called my friends losers, ditched my birthday, and went off to flirt with Connor. Her face went completely pale. I have no idea what you're... I stopped her. My friend Tara was at that event, Lauren. She watched you leave with him. The waterworks started up instantly. It wasn't what it looks like, she sobbed. We literally just shared an Uber. I asked her, an Uber to where? Total silence. Yeah, that's what I thought, I said. We're completely finished, Lauren. You can crash here until you sort out a new place, but as far as a relationship goes, we are done. She absolutely exploded. You are seriously throwing away our entire relationship over one single comment about your stupid friends? She shrieked. I looked at her and said, no, I am ending this because you are a massive snob who's been emotionally cheating on me while actively trying to make me feel worthless. She snapped back, emotionally cheating? You're the one who invited my ex-roommate over to our apartment for a party. She grabbed her phone and started furiously typing away. 5 minutes later, she marched back out and shoved her phone screen right in my face. It was a Venmo request for exactly $1,847. I looked at it and asked, what the hell is this supposed to be? She told me it was my half of every single thing she'd paid for since the day we moved in together. The utilities, the groceries, the couch, even the TV stand. She said, if you're kicking me out, you're buying me out of this place. I just laughed. Lauren, we split everything completely down the middle. You don't get a retroactive refund on your basic living expenses just because we broke up. She smirked at me and said, fine, then I'm not leaving. I told her, all right, suits yourself, but I'm going to keep living my life, and that includes having my friends over whenever I want. She just sneered, we'll see about that. The next 3 days turned into absolute psychological warfare. She'd blast loud yoga music at 3 in the morning, claiming it was for her stress. She'd cook these massive, elaborate meals using up all of my groceries, and then leave the dirty dishes piling up in the sink. She'd purposely sit in the living room having loud phone calls, talking about how some people just can't handle a successful woman and how exhausting it is to date down. But things really escalated that Thursday, which was our usual board game night. She shot me a text while I was at work saying, having some friends over tonight. Hope that's cool. I knew exactly what she was trying to do, but I honestly didn't care. I just typed back, "Cool. My friends will be here at 7 for game night." I got home at 6:30 p.m., and Lauren had completely rearranged the entire living room. Our gaming table was pushed all the way against the wall, and she had set up this massive charcuterie board. I looked around and asked, "What's all this?" She smiled all fake and said, "Oh, I'm hosting a cheese and literature salon tonight. Very refined. Not really your thing, but you get it." Right at 7, 7 of her most insufferable friends showed up. You know the type, people who casually name-drop Kafka at parties and judge you for drinking a regular IPA. Then my crew arrived, and the tension in the room was instant. Her group completely took over the living room, talking incredibly loudly about the sad decline of cultured socializing and how pathetic pedestrian hobbies were. Ryan looked over at me, and I just shrugged and said, "Bedroom." So we moved our entire game into my room. Even with the door shut, we could still hear Lauren's crowd fake laughing and making these pointed comments loud enough for us to hear. They were saying things like, "Some people never move past college, it's kinda sad," and "The stunted growth is real. My ex was into video games. Thank God I leveled up." Then Ellie arrived. I'd invited her to game night, but in all the chaos, I completely forgot to warn her about what was going on. She took one look at the living room, walked straight past Lauren's snobbish friends without saying a word, and joined us in the bedroom. The second she walked in, she laughed and said, "Wow, this reminds me of when Lauren would host business mixers at 2 in the morning during college finals." Right on cue, Lauren appeared in the doorway. "Ellie, what a surprise," she said, dripping with sarcasm. Ellie didn't even blink. "Hey, Lauren. Still pretentious as ever, I see." Lauren snapped back. "Still bitter about being a failed poet, I see." Ellie just laughed in her face. "Lauren, I make 6 figures doing exactly what I love. You build spreadsheets for corporate bosses who don't even know your name." The entire apartment went dead silent. Lauren's face turned completely crimson. She pointed at the door and screamed, "Get out! Get out of my apartment right now." I stepped in and said very calmly, "Actually, it's my apartment, and she's my guest." Lauren looked like she was going to explode. "Then I'm calling the cops. She is harassing me." I just nodded. "Please do. Go ahead and explain to the police how someone quietly playing a board game in a bedroom is harassment, while you're hosting a party specifically to disrupt our weekly tradition." One of Lauren's friends, clearly feeling incredibly awkward, suggested they all just move the party to a local wine bar. They all started trickling out, but not before Lauren snatched a bottle of my wine right off the counter. For the emotional distress, she hissed at me. After they finally left, Nate just shook his head. "Dude, your ex is completely unhinged." I sighed and told him, 2 more weeks. She'll find a place by then." Ellie ended up staying after everyone else went home. We didn't do anything inappropriate. We just sat up talking until 3 in the morning about music, travel, and the absolute absurdity of Lauren's cheese and literature salon. But before she left, Ellie looked at me seriously and warned, "She's going to escalate this, you know?" And man, she wasn't kidding. The very next day, Lauren went into a full meltdown. First, she actually called my mother. She claimed I was having a massive affair with her ex-roommate, that I'd become incredibly cruel and unstable, and that she was genuinely worried about my mental health. My mom called me immediately, sounding completely confused. "Lauren is telling me you're having some kind of mental breakdown," she said. I told her, "No, Mom. I broke up with her and she's just furious about it." My mom let out a huge sigh of relief. "Oh, thank God. I never liked her anyway. She always wore way too much perfume." When that didn't work, Lauren went after my job. She sent an official email to HR claiming that I was creating a hostile living environment, which was actively impacting her ability to work from home. HR ended up forwarding the email directly to me with a note that said, "This seems like a deeply personal matter, but we wanted you to be aware of it." My manager even pulled me aside later that day to ask if everything was okay. I told him, "My ex-girlfriend refuses to move out of my place, and things are getting incredibly weird." He just nodded sympathetically. "Been there, man." Take a personal day if you need to handle it. But Saturday was the day she completely lost whatever sanity she had left. I was checking out the local farmer's market with Ellie, and to be clear, it wasn't a date, we were just grabbing coffee and browsing the stands. One of Lauren's friends spotted us together and immediately reported back to her. Instead of texting me, my phone started blowing up with calls from my friends. First, it was Ryan. Dude, Lauren just called me crying hysterically, claiming that you're physically abusing her. Then Lucas called. Hey man, your ex just offered me $500 cash if I could convince you to take her back. Then Nate rang me up. Bro, Lauren is literally standing in my cafe right now, demanding that I ban you from the premises so she can eat her lunch in peace. She even sent a DM to my girlfriend claiming that you're cheating on her. Joke's on Lauren, though my girlfriend and I broke up last month. Right after that, the smear campaign launched on social media. She didn't name me directly, but it was incredibly obvious. She started posting things like, when you finally realize he was never good enough for you anyway, and upgrading from boys who play with toys to real men with actual careers. Another one said, some people peak in high school and it really shows. The worst part was she tagged every single post with the exact locations I'd been to that week. My gym, my favorite coffee shop, and even the farmer's market we were currently at. All of her corporate friends started piling on in the comments, typing things like, you deserve so much better, queen, completely his loss, babe, and time to level up. But then, she made a massive, critical mistake. She posted a beautiful photo of the view from my apartment, the apartment where her name is nowhere on the lease. Her caption read, gonna miss this view, but I'm so excited for my next chapter. Anyone know any good realtors? She was trying to frame it like she was the one choosing to walk away, making it look like a mutual, mature split. I decided I was done playing nice, so I commented right under the post, the lease is in my name only. You were asked to leave 2 weeks ago after you cheated. Please have your things out by Friday as we agreed. She deleted my comment almost instantly, but she wasn't fast enough. Dozens of people had already seen it, and screenshots started spreading like wildfire. Ellie texted me one of the screenshots covered in laughing emojis with a message saying, she is absolutely scrambling right now. When Lauren came home that night, she was in a textbook fury. How dare you do that? She screamed. I looked at her and asked, how dare I what? Tell the exact truth? You're the one ruining your own reputation, Lauren. I'm just refusing to help you lie about it anymore. She got so mad she grabbed a coffee mug and hurled it against the wall, watching it shatter into a million pieces. I just looked at the mess and said calmly, well, that's coming directly out of your security deposit. She snapped, I didn't pay a single dime of a security deposit. This isn't even my apartment. The second the words left her mouth, she realized exactly what she had just admitted. She screamed, an actual, top-of-your-lungs shriek, and locked herself inside the bathroom for the next 2 hours. From inside, she started uploading increasingly erratic Instagram stories about toxic masculinity and narcissistic abuse. By Sunday morning, we were officially 1 week away from the deadline for her to be out. I walked into the kitchen to grab some coffee, and there was Lauren sitting at the table with Connor, the exact finance guy from her work event. Morning, she said, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. Connor stayed over last night. Hope that's cool with you. Connor looked incredibly uncomfortable. He shifted in his seat, looked at me and said, hey man, look, really sorry about this. I just looked at him and said, you do know she's packing up and moving out of here this Friday, right? Connor's eyes went wide. He turned his head, looked dead at Lauren, and said, wait, you told me you own this place. We own it together, she lied, completely smooth and without missing a beat. I just chuckled, pulled up the digital lease on my phone, and turned the screen around to show him. Nope, it's just me on here, and she's officially been asked to pack up and leave. Connor looked back and forth between us, completely bewildered. Lauren, what the hell is going on here? She panicked, pointing at me. He's lying. Baby, don't listen a single word he says. I just tapped the screen. The paperwork is right here, man. Lauren broke down into instant tears. You're really going to take his side over mine? That was the breaking point for Connor. He grabbed his coat off the rack and said, "Yeah, I'm out. I am not dealing with this drama. You told me you were single, lived by yourself, and actually had your life together. This whole situation is completely insane." And just like that, he walked out the door. The second the door clicked shut, Lauren turned on me like a wild animal. "You completely ruined everything," she shrieked. I just stared at her. "No, Lauren. You ruined everything the exact moment you brought another guy into my apartment." She looked around frantically, grabbed our blender off the counter, and snapped, "I bought this." I just waved my hand. "Cool. It's yours, take it." She looked completely shocked that I wasn't going to fight her on it. So, she started snatching up random things all over the place. "This too. And this." I just told her, "Look, if you paid for it, take it with you." She went so far as to rip up the bathroom mat, grab the kitchen dish soap, and she even tried to unscrew light bulbs from the fixtures, claiming she was the one who bought them. "You are absolutely pathetic," she spat at me. I just smiled and said, "Maybe, but I'm single. And honestly, I've never been happier." By Monday, she took things to a whole new level of petty. She changed the password to our shared Hulu account since it was under her name, kicked me off her Apple Music family plan, and then actually tried to get me permanently banned from the gym we both go to by telling management that I was actively stalking her. Luckily for me, the gym manager and I have been tight for 3 years. He called me up directly to sort it out. "Hey man, your ex is down here claiming you're following her around the facility." I told him, "Bro, I haven't even stepped foot in the gym since last Thursday." He chuckled and said, "Yeah, that's exactly what our keycard tracking system shows. Tell you what, I'm just going to ask her to find a new place to work out." So, she got herself banned instead. Absolutely glorious. On Tuesday, she decided to bring reinforcements and showed up with her mother. This woman was basically Lauren too. Zero, just older and way more toxic. "You are an absolute nobody," her mom announced the second she walked in. "My daughter deserves a real man, not some man-child who spends his time playing games." I just leaned against the counter and said, "Well, then she should be absolutely thrilled to be packing her bags this Friday." Her mom snapped back, "She isn't going anywhere until you financially compensate her for all the emotional damages she's suffered." I laughed out loud. "Emotional damages? Your daughter is the one who cheated on me with that tramp of a roommate." Right at that exact second, Ellie walked through the front door to drop off some coffee for me. She took one look at the mother and said, "Oh, hi, Mrs. Harper. Are you still wearing those MLM yoga pants that gave literally everyone in the neighborhood a massive rash?" Lauren's mom turned completely purple. "You little..." Ellie just smiled cheerfully. "Careful now. Defamation is a real crime. You might want to ask your daughter about the formal cease and desist letter her last ex-boyfriend had to send her." That completely took the wind out of their sails, and they hurried out shortly after, but not before Lauren's mom yelled back that I was going to die totally alone with my loser friends. I just called down the hallway after her, "Hey, it beats dying surrounded by a bunch of people who secretly despise my guts." By Wednesday, absolute desperation kicked in. I came home to find Lauren trying to seduce me, wearing this expensive lingerie I'd bought her for Valentine's Day. "Do you remember this?" she asked softly. I nodded. "Yep. Honestly, it looks a whole lot better on you than it did sitting on my bedroom floor where you left it rotting for a week." She stepped closer and whispered, "We could still fix this, you know? I can find a way to forgive you for everything with Ellie." I just stepped back. "Lauren, there is absolutely nothing to forgive. We aren't together." She started pleading, "But we are so good together." I looked at her, completely serious. "Were we? When exactly was that? Was it when you told me my friends were total zeros? Was it when you ditched my birthday party? Or was it when you brought Connor into my home?" The waterworks started up again, but this time they actually seemed like real tears. "I just don't have anywhere else to go," she sobbed. I reminded her, "Lauren, you literally have 6 figures sitting in your savings account. You showed me the bank statements yourself last month while you were bragging about it." She sniffled and said, "But I don't want to waste my own money staying at a hotel." I just shrugged. Well, that is officially not my problem anymore. Thursday night brought the final absolute meltdown. I walked through the door after work to find she had invited over 20 random people for a massive farewell party. My entire apartment was packed to the brim with complete strangers. "What the hell is all this?" I demanded. Lauren, who was clearly already wasted, stumbled over and announced, "It's my closure party. Since you're evicting me from my home, I'm gonna say a proper goodbye." I looked around the room to assess the damage. Someone had spilled red wine all over my carpet. A guy was vaping right on my balcony, which is a major lease violation, and the music was blasting so loud it was an automatic noise complaint. I immediately pulled out my phone and shot a text to my landlord, who happens to live right downstairs in the building. He knocked on the door less than 5 minutes later, walked in, and yelled, "Everyone out of this apartment right now, or I am calling the police to have you arrested." Lauren tried to step up and argue with him. "Excuse me, I live here." The landlord looked her dead in the eye and said, "No, you don't. You are a guest who has officially overstayed her welcome. Move it." The entire party cleared out in seconds. The landlord turned to me and asked, "She's out of here tomorrow, right?" I promised him. "First thing in the morning." He nodded and said, "Good. Get this carpet cleaned up and we'll just forget this whole thing ever happened." Lauren slumped down onto the couch, her mascara running down her face in dark streaks. "You have completely ruined my life," she whispered. I looked down at her and said, "No, Lauren, you ruined your own life by being a massive snob who honestly thought she was better than everyone else. Turns out, people don't really tolerate mean girls once high school and college are over." Finally, Friday morning arrived, moving day. Lauren had promised me she would be completely packed and out of the apartment by noon. But at 11:45 a.m., she was still casually folding clothes, moving at an absolute glacial pace. "I'm going to need more time," she muttered. I shook my head and pointed out the window. "The Uber XL I ordered for you is sitting right outside by the curb. Start loading up your boxes right now, or whatever is left behind is going straight into the dumpster." She tried to grab the television on her way out, claiming, "I paid for half of this." I just told her, "Nice try. But I have the digital receipts sitting right in my email showing I covered the whole thing." Then she tried to snatch my cast iron skillet. "This one was mine." I just rolled my eyes. "Lauren, you don't even know how to cook." At last, she was standing at the front door holding her final boxes, ready to leave for good. She looked at me one last time and said, "You are going to regret this for the rest of your life. When you're 40 years old, still sitting around playing your stupid childish games with your nobody friends, you are going to look back and realize exactly what you lost." I just smiled at her. What I lost was 180 pounds of absolute dead weight that spent months trying to convince me I wasn't good enough. I'll gladly keep the board games and my friends. Thanks. She tried one final, desperate emotional manipulation. "You know, Ellie is just using you to get back at me, right?" I told her. "Ellie has been nothing but incredibly sweet and supportive to me, which is the exact opposite of how you've treated me. We were together for 2 whole years, and you spent the last 6 months of it making me feel completely worthless. Time doesn't automatically equal quality." Right then, the Uber driver gave a loud honk from the street. She grabbed her boxes, turned around, and tried to get in one last parting shot. "You will never, ever find another woman like me." I just looked at her and said, "Lauren, that is entirely the point." She slammed the door shut, and she was finally gone. I had a locksmith come out that exact afternoon to change all the deadbolts, with the landlord's full approval, of course. Then I spent hours deep cleaning every square inch of the apartment. That evening, I invited my real friends over for a true celebration. Ryan brought over a couple of cases of beer, Lucas picked up the pizzas, and Nate cooked up some incredible appetizers. Amir even brought his new girlfriend along, who turned out to be absolutely awesome. And, of course, Ellie was there. She walked in carrying a batch of her famous homemade cookies and a great bottle of wine. She raised her glass and yelled, "To freedom!" I clinked my glass against hers and replied, "To good friends." We stayed up playing games until 3 in the morning. There was absolutely no judgment, no backhanded compliments, and no snobbish criticism. Just pure laughter, fun, and good vibes. Around midnight, my phone buzzed with a text from Lauren. I made a massive mistake. Can we please just sit down and talk? I didn't even reply. I just blocked her number right then and there. One of her friends actually reached out to me the very next day, telling me that Lauren was currently crashing on her mom's couch and was completely miserable. She asked me, "How could you do something so awful to her?" I told her, I didn't do anything to her. I just finally stopped letting her do terrible things to me. It's been about 2 weeks since that moving day. Word on the street is Lauren has already started dating some new finance guy she met at her mother's fancy country club. She's already all over social media, posting pictures and gushing about how he completely understands her drive and ambition, and how he isn't intimidated by a highly successful woman. Connor actually reached out to me a few days ago to apologize again for the apartment drama, and he wanted to give me a heads up that Lauren has been telling anyone who will listen that I was physically and emotionally abusive to her. He even forwarded me screenshots of her desperately trying to beg him to take her back while she was already actively dating this new country club guy. We aren't exactly best friends, but I really appreciated him looking out and giving me the warning. As for Ellie and me, we are just taking things nice and slow. Honestly, discovering what it's like to be with someone who actually likes your friends, shares your hobbies, and never looks down on you like you're beneath them is an incredible feeling. She has officially joined our weekly Thursday board game group now, and she fits in seamlessly with the guys. Last night, she was over at the apartment and we were watching a movie together when she said something that really stuck in my head. She looked at me and said, "You know what's incredibly ironic? Lauren spent so much time and energy calling all of your friends nobodies. But at the end of the day, she's the one who lost everything. She lost you, she completely destroyed her own reputation, and she lost every single friend who finally saw right through her nonsense. Meanwhile, you're sitting here surrounded by a group of people who genuinely love and care about you. And you know what? She is absolutely right. I have a core group of friends who will always show up for me. I'm starting a potential relationship with a truly genuine, amazing woman. I finally have a peaceful, quiet apartment to call my own. And best of all, I have exactly 0 people in my life trying to make me feel like I'm less than I am." Lauren was actually right about one thing, though. I really will never find another woman like her again. And honestly, thank God for that.